how to speed up Windows 11 like a pro. I'm creating 2 serious video sessions to show you how you can boost the performance of your Windows 11 operating system. In the next video session, I'll show you more advanced tips and insights, okay? So let's go and take a look at apps. When you install it, Windows installs a lot of different apps. Some of them surely are useful, but some of them are not. And what you should do is look at the installed apps and ask yourself, okay, are you using it? Let's say Microsoft 365 Copilot. If you're not using it, simply uninstall it. Media player. In my scenario, I don't use it because I use the open source VLC media player. So simply go through the installed apps and remove as in uninstall the apps that you're not using. Okay, so that's one thing. As we can see, there's one here that's specific to my laptop. So if I'm using it, I can leave it. But even though if it's your device specific apps, if you're not using it, perhaps you want to uninstall it. So let's look at the next setting that I can show you. And that's the startup apps. Let's right click on the Windows icon and go to Task Manager. Here you have your startup apps. You will see status, some of them are enabled. Perhaps you may say to yourself, you know what, I'm not using some of them. In this scenario, it's related to Adobe Acrobat, so I can disable that. So it doesn't start each time Windows logs in. Okay, so look at the startup apps, simply analyze it and ask yourself, are you using it? If so, keep it. If not, right click and disable it. You can always enable it later on as well, okay? So enable, disable startup apps. Okay, now this is a little bit tricky. This will depend on the way that you're using Windows. You can simply search the visual effects. Here you can let Windows decide, or you may be using your Windows 11 for content creation or gaming sessions, for example. For that logon, you may say, you know what, let's go for adjust for best performance, knowing that you can always come back and make changes later on. So that's another setting that's going to improve your Windows 11 operating system in terms of performance. Then there's another one. Let's take a look at settings. Let's look at system. Here we have storage. You want to have storage sense enabled. You need to make this enabled. What this does is it lets Windows 11 manage the storage in terms of temporary files. You can remove files. As you can see, these are all, it gets cluttered over time. So having storage sense enabled is smart. And perhaps for maintenance, you can remove it when you need your device to perform at its best, okay? Let's look at power settings, because this definitely will be of help. Let's go back to system, power and battery. So if you're using Windows 11 on a laptop, that's a different scenario. If you're using your Windows 11 on a desktop, that's a different scenario. So you can set best performance. Let's imagine you're using it on a laptop and you have the power plugged in. At that time, perhaps it's smart to set best performance on battery. So when it's not plugged in, you may say, okay, you know what? I want to preserve the battery lifetime. You may select balance for that. So then let's take a look. Okay, this will depend on the device that you're using. Okay, so we can right click on the icon, you go to device manager, and here you have your network adapters. So I'm using a laptop here, but if you have Wi-Fi and you want that Wi-Fi to be fast, then you can say to yourself, okay, you know what, that's my network adapter. You can right click, go to properties. Actually, before you go to properties, it's smart to always update the driver if you haven't done so already. So let's go to advanced. Here you have this wireless mode. So you can set this to higher limit, and what you see here will depend on your specific machine. Then here you have preferred band. You can set that to 5G or even the latest 6G. As I've said, what you see here will depend on your current machine and the network card that's installed on your machine. Okay. So ideally, if you want the best performing Wi-Fi connection and download and uploads, you want to select the highest band as your preferred band. And then press OK. Okay, let's just do that. Let's come out of it. That's the Wi-Fi. We've selected that. Also, the detailed settings will be available on rankia.com. And let me show you one more performance setting. We can get to that through, let's say, settings. Let's go to system. Okay, where are we? Let's go back to system. Let's go to about advanced system settings. Here you want to select advanced. Under performance, select setting. And here, this is for visual effects. You can let Windows decide. But as I've said, if you need performance, let's imagine you log in and you think to yourself, you know what, I want my device to perform. Then perhaps you can select that there too. Or you can let Windows decide. But when we press on the Advanced tab here, you can adjust for best performance for programs or background services. To make your Windows 11 run fast, you want to select performance. Also, let's press on virtual memory and let's change that. That's our hard drives here. We can let it automatically manage everything, or we can say, you know what, no. I want to change the settings. We can set custom size. Here we need to enter values in megabytes. And ask yourself the RAM that you have on your machine. If you have 64 gigabytes of RAM, then you don't have to do anything here. But if you have anything less than that, perhaps 32 gig, 16 gig, or even 8 gig. If that's the case, you may want to perhaps increase the virtual memory. And let's go, in my example, it's 16 gig for my laptop. I can say 24,576 megabytes. That's 1.5 times bigger than this here. And this value is perhaps 3 times bigger. So in my example, I can actually say, you know what? Let's just remove the comma and say maximum is this and minimum should be this. But if you've got 32 gig, you can perhaps increase the megabyte limit according to your device, okay? So now I can say, you know what, set this. So what will happen is Windows will actually use your drive as for RAM operation, just random access memory operations. Okay, so that's done. Let's OK it. We can press change. Here we have page file, all this stuff. You don't really need to touch that. So let's apply changes and let's come out of that. Okay, so these are the methods that you can use to improve the performance of your Windows 11 machine. In the next video session, I'm going to show you more advanced methods to really optimize your Windows 11 to run lightning fast. Now, if you benefited from this video session, please do give it a like or even share it with others or family members who are using Windows 11. I thank you for learning with Rankia, and I'll talk with you in the next video session.